Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, mic check. Is this thing finally working? It crashed, like it just froze, the mic did when the stream went live. And, oh, my camera's okay. Fantastic. Hey, Constantine. Hello, John Doom, welcome back. Morning, DM Crusader. How's everyone doing today? Hey, Chim. Cat vibes as always, right? Hello, hello. I'm great, Constantine. Thank you for asking. Yeah, welcome back to Mapmaker Monday, everyone. So, how was everyone's weekend? First day of holidays? Interesting, cool. So you just got some time off, DM Crusader? I hope you enjoy yourself. Ah, my camera crashed. Let's try this again. Fantastic, brother. Sounds great. Enjoy yourself. There we go. Reset my camera, that fixed it. I don't know why, but all of my, like, attachment software or hardware crashed. Like, my mic and my camera did when I went live today. Alrighty. Looks like we're live on all platforms. I'm not seeing Steam yet, though. Oh, there it went. It just came up. We good. Fantastic. Too hot? Oh, I bet. S-Team? Up. Steam. Yay. Fantastic. So welcome back, everyone, to Mapmaker Monday. My name is Mac. I'm the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. Every Monday, we host a live map-making session where we build a themed map out from scratch, while you all can watch, share suggestions and ideas towards the build, and during this time, you can get your support inquiries or questions about Dungeon Alchemist answered. AMA format, which means Ask Me Anything. So AMA DA. So Ask Me Anything Dungeon Alchemist. And I will do my best to provide you real-time assistance and guidance, kind of like you're in a live class. You know, getting assistance from a teacher or a professor. So for the next two and a half hours, we will be hosting the Mapmaker Monday session. We're working on an ice palace, which we've been I've got about 2 Mondays worth of build time on. This previous Monday I was on my vacation, so we did not work on the map then. But as you can see, it's sort of taking shape. Gotcha. Fair enough, Alan. But it is it kind of looks like a snowflake from the top down, which is what I was hoping to accomplish with the design. How does it look from the stream? Like, does it look pretty decent? Or do you think it needs some work still? Obviously, it's going to need some windows, and we're going to have to decorate the interior, but the exterior, like overall design, I feel like is pretty good. I wanted to possibly build upward a little bit more, like a spire, like this diamond shape upward, or maybe a central shape like here-ish. Here, let me turn on my mouse highlighter. So around this area. Having a lot of fun with this design. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. Constantine, did I see correctly earlier that you started a Patreon? What are your map making? I think this view is pretty nice. Well, congratulations on getting your project started. And best of luck to you, my friend. Remember, if you're that self-promo section, as long as anything you post there is Dungeon Alchemist related, you're allowed to post it. So a lot of people share their Patreons or similar. You definitely have an eye for map making, so I hope you find an audience. Similar to how a snowflake starts small and can become an entire avalanche under the correct conditions and persistence. I think that content creation and growth as an artist, a content creator, whether it be a map maker or a painter or a dancer, a singer, a paid DM, any number of artists out there, an actor, it takes time to get established, get a rhythm, and kind of find not only your style, but your audience. So I would say the big thing is, you start small, but if you're persistent and keep at it and continually, push out new maps, new ideas, new themes, you will likely get an audience. And over time, that that little snowflake turns into a little snowball rolling down the hill and then gets bigger and bigger, and before you know it, it's this massive avalanche of support. I've seen it several times over the years with various creators and artists and actors, actresses, musicians. And I'll be honest with you, Constantine, the first step is usually the hardest, and you've taken it by just putting yourself out there and getting started. So my advice to you is, keep up, keep doing what you're doing, find a good balance so you don't, get burnt out, and don't be stressed on success, especially when you're just getting your feet wet and the whole thing. You know what I mean? Just enjoy the map making and the content creation aspect of it, and I think with time you will find an audience. The only other thing I can suggest is consistency. Kind of set a schedule and keep to it. Like if you're going to be like, hey, I'm going to release a map every 2 weeks, then release a map every 2 weeks. Whatever you plan on doing, stick with it. It's easier for an audience to find you if you have a consistent schedule. Hey, Anani. A bee, not a cat? So I'm trying to remember what I was working on last week before we wrapped up. Oh, it was the staircases. Because I was trying to make a traversal path from the bottom to the top somehow. So it's like you can actually get there. Because prior to my work on this, it was quite impossible. So let's take a look here, see what we've come up with. Yeah, I think this T shape, or the cross-section staircases, is probably the most efficient given the shape of the structure. So one's in tighter than the other's further back. Okay, I see what I'm doing here. I kind of alternate. So this one was closer and that one was further back. This one's closer. I don't know. Maybe there is no sanity here. I have no idea what I'm doing. It's okay. I'm gonna pretend. I'm just kidding. Honestly, it's a little early for me still. So how was everyone's weekend? Let's talk about it. Well, that ain't gonna work. I guess it does. I wish we had a spiral ice stair. We don't, and that's making this very difficult. Is the creator you're working with, like, isn't it Devin Rue, right? Rev? One lucky thing, though. Brew as in whatever it inspires you to make with that word. Brewing something, if you want. It could be potions, could be alcohol. Could be trouble is a brew. Trouble is afoot. Trouble is brewing, yep. A storm is brewing. Could be any number of things. It's just brew. So I think it's getting too small up there for this. And because we don't have an ice spiral stair, I am forever going to have to cry. No, I'll just use the metal ones because they work thematically. So yeah, that's 3 over. Good there. I think that's got the symmetry. Dang. I'm going to make those circular in a minute. I'll show you guys and gals how to do that. Too far over. Yep, we're in the one staircase area here. I want to see what this looks like. Ooh. That actually looks pretty good. Don't mind me, just doing cool stuff. I gotta build up higher than this. Oh, wait. No. It's all spired here. Nice. Lego Alchemist shop? No, I haven't. I did recently see on Maker World, which is like Bamboo Labs' like website for hosting 3D models and stuff. Someone made like a little cool, like an alchemy, like little setup. It looks just like a diorama or whatever, or something like a book nook, but it has induction-based LEDs in it. And so like the little potion bottles you print will light up, and the little brew cauldrons and stuff, depending on where you place them on the design. It's actually really cool. Have y'all seen induction LEDs at all? Alrighty, let's figure this out. Special. Yeah, they can get a little frustrating for sure. I think I'm going to turn normal light on too, because I'm getting a headache just looking at all this blue lighting. So spiral stairs have an issue where, first off, they don't dynamically cut a circle, which is frustrating. And in order to get around it, it's kind of tricky. Let me show you what I do. You essentially have to draw a new room in this spot, right? Let's go to special and make it Ice Palace. Problem is everything here is Ice Palace, so we just got to use some random thing. Doesn't really matter what it is. Probably just going to do like castle hallway, and we'll get, yeah, like that basically. So now these sections can be filled in. Maybe. What is going on here? Give me 1 second here. Something's wrong. We definitely have the two shapes. Yeah, my name is Mac. How you doing, Dissonant? Welcome. Let me try something else here. I'm going to just delete this entire space of rooms first. We got it. We got it, fam. I'm going to delete the space first to reset it. Whoa. What just happened? Okay, that was tripping me out. Kind of neat, but over the top. Anyway, we're going to go into walls. I'm going to see if we have some ice walls, maybe some iron or ice banisters. Could work. Let's see if there's any ice fences. Yay! Because that's technically not a room yet on these little sections. So what we want to do is also draw... Dang it, it's a different room. I'm just going to do... Why is this not working all of a sudden? I was doing this yesterday in another map and it was no problem. What did I do? Sorry, I've done this a bunch of times and it normally works just fine. Any questions related to Dungeon Alchemist are in scope during the streams, Dissonant, so by all means. I did, Belladonna, thank you. Kind of wished I'd take a longer one. It is technically 2 rooms. Okay. It's 3 rooms. Huh. That's... I'm going to try one other thing. Trying to shake these up from each other. See if I can generate it and get it to do... There we go. Finally got it to separate and do a new wall. Okay. We're just going to change that wall to... Well, not all of them. Just the important ones. To ice banisters. We're going to delete this one. Right there. Now, hopefully I can finally fill in those floor sections. It was being weird, but I got it to override it somehow. Now, will the floor go in? Shoot. So everyone, I played the Dunda yesterday. Anyone curious how that panned out? Okay, why is this still fighting me? I should be able to put the same floor type and it would fix it. What I'm going to try and do, let's see if I can fix it another way. Yeah, something's bugging out. It's like not adding it to the room. I mean, that's pretty cool, though. Like the little ice spires. I guess I could do that if it's not going to work. Let me show you what it's supposed to do. I'm going to save this twice and open another map here. And by the way, thank you for the kind words about the stream, Dissonant. I got to use it a little bit. I'm still kind of getting used to the rhythm of how and when to use it, right? So what I'm hoping to make is these little rounded cuts like this around the stair, where it's got these little rounded nice edges and it's filled in. You're supposed to be able to do it, no problem. I've done it multiple times in this build, but it's not allowing me to do it in that other one for some reason. I've done it though multiple times, so I know it's not an issue. It's just being something's weird about it. Anyway, we'll try and figure it out. So Dissonant Synth asks, thanks. Let me first ask, using the assets currently in DA, how do you think you would go about making a port harbor dock for a fishing outpost? Okay, that's actually quite easy. Let me show you. Now, I'll make a new map for this just so I don't mess around with this. I'm gonna just set us up in like a forest biome, and for argument's sake, let's do a lake so we have a big area to put like a dock, or for time saving sake as well. And we'll just set it up as like an evergreen forest. Most of everything else doesn't matter for the purpose of this demonstration. So we're going to generate a map, which shouldn't take but a moment. And here we have our forest kind of outlining a lake. Doesn't need to be perfect. I'm just showing you how to build a dock, or how I would do it. So there's two ways to approach this, okay? But honestly, I think the simplest and most straightforward way is to use objects. The room tool is great for building rooms. The docks aren't something that I would recommend building with the room tool, albeit possible. Under the object panel here on the left side, second from the top, you can expand that and you have multiple submenus. If you go to structural right here, structural has tons of objects that can be used for building or expanding upon a building to make it look different than our stock builds can. So within this menu are hundreds of thousands of structural objects. Wood platforms is one that jumps out. There's a few things in here that could potentially be used as docks. So one of my favorite is like the scaffolds. First things first, I want to make sure my scale's okay. I'm going to bring out the object, and then I'm going to disable collisions up here, and that makes this arrow appear. So when collisions are off, you can raise objects up and down, you can merge them together, you can expand them far above and below their normal constraints. So in the case of this dock that I'm going to be using, just sink it into the water. That's a quick, easy dock, you know, pretty much done in seconds. And you can expand upon it by, you know, adding another one and having it go out like this way and a few things like this, you know. So quick, simple fisherman's dock, nothing fancy, you know. And you can even overlap the wood a little bit to make it better, less patchy. Hey, Carpenter, welcome back. You too, my friend. Hope you're well. So that's like a quick way to address it or kind of deal with the problem. There are multiple things in there, like these scaffolds, that work really well for that. There are these platforms that you can just link together. What I like to do is get one about the height or size I like it to be. Here, let me delete this. All right, let's move to another corner of the lake. So very quickly, I'm going to just clear this area away. So it's like a walk-up dock using the object eraser. And then I'm going to size this up a little bit to get it roughly, you know, a pretty large size. And I'm going to sink it down into the ground right where I want it to start. And remember, I can always adjust the terrain on this side to it. But now that I've made this one this size, snapped it into place, and like got it at the height I want, I can keep expanding off of that by holding shift, and then if you hold control, they'll snap into place. They keep going out. You can go, you know, this way. You can make a whole wharf this way if you wanted to. So objects, I think, are your best friend when it comes to making docks and wharfs and launches and stuff like that. The objects are readily available. They're pretty quick and easy to put down. We have, you know, even different options. So you have stone if you want to have a stone dock of some sort, like in a big fancy city. You can do metal. Metal with like grates is kind of fun, but the other ones are interesting as well. So you kind of see the trend of what I'm going with. You got all sorts of stone platforms. opening up these various woodwork sections, there's tons of various objects that could potentially fill the void too. Sometimes maybe you want like a custom dock. Maybe you don't like the style of this, but you like maybe these planks. So you could get this, you know, wood plank up here and then add little poles to the bottom of it if you'd prefer, like beams, and make a custom dock. So you got kit bashing with objects. You've got just objects that look and act and feel like a dock that can just pop into place. Lastly, you can use the room tool, but I'm going to be honest, it's probably not ideal for this purpose. Though I have seen people use it to great success. Yeah, there is an update coming out eventually that will address two updates addressing water-based things. One of them is called High Seas, which will, as you could imagine, focus on seas, ports. I'm hoping it'll also focus on not only, you know, like water seas, but the skies and also astral seas. But we'll see. I do... Sorry for that. I do know that the art team is working on some very cool stuff related to that at this time, but I just can't tell you what it is or show you. It's under wraps until it's at a good point to share. So, what I would do to make like a dock using the room tool is essentially, I would just grab any old room, it doesn't matter, right? I'll just grab like cabin. Then you sink this down to, I think it's right there, 2.7. That's one drop. Okay. Heck, we could even do it without a floor. And then I'm just going to generate this just at the water level. Yeah, because if we raise it, see that? Perfect. So what I'm going to do here is use a different wall. There's plenty of wood walls, and these ones, arcade, kind of look like a dock pier. So, that's a pretty wide dock, but you get the idea. Some of these look a little bit cheaper. Just like piles, you know? And then if we go up one level here and draw a new room, right? But instead of having walls, we just do floors. In the room settings, you can uncheck various objects for when you're generating a room. So I'm going to generate just a cabin because it'll probably have wood floors, but we could change them to whatever type. That probably is not ideal. Dang, it's just a little low. Darn it. Let's go back to this part right here. So I sank it in just a little bit too low, but I'm going to use this as an opportunity. We're going to generate with this. Yep, okay, we're above the water line. That's perfect. Now, we're going to generate just a regular room on top. Oh, I messed up. I got to flip it. No regular room, just floors. And now we kind of have a platform to work with to make a dock using the room tool. There's not a room that generates as a dock, so you got to make it manually, basically, is what I'm getting at. But like these logs could be a good one like that, right? And then on the side, as I showed you a bit ago, we could use like these arcades or piles. These wooden ones probably would look good. And then the terrain, we just got to bring it back up. Oh, shoot, wrong one. Brush size, brush strength. Oops. Might have to link this with some other wood stuff, but you get the idea. The room tool isn't the best for this. Usually objects are. At the end of the day, though, this is somewhat possible. Planks is probably what I was thinking. Yeah, something like these. Or making like a bridge or something that goes between them. You get the idea. Stairs, bridge, any number of things could bridge these two. But yeah, at the moment, I would say the quickest way to build a dock is with these kind of things, the objects under the object menu, under the second panel in the structural section of Dungeon Alchemist's object menu. Focal, no worries. There's hundreds of wooden objects that can pass for docks in a pinch. Anyway, spend some time looking through the structural menu. It is by far the most extensive grouping of objects in the object menu. There's so many things in here. You got chimneys, you got graveyard items, you got pipes that link together. You've got ruins of all shapes and sizes. There's some more stuff for making docks. Tents. Various, construction objects, so things to make like market stalls or decorations in various environments. Hey, we've even got a Baba Yaga hut or a tree house that you can just pop up somewhere. That actually looks pretty good right there. I wasn't even planning that. It just like fit so good. Oh my. Yeah, so, basically, anytime there's a question during Mapmaker Monday, I'll stop and answer the question. I'm here to provide you guys and gals support with your map making journey. So if you're new to our community and you're wondering what you're looking at, or you have questions about a very specific aspect of our tool, or maybe you found a map on the Steam Workshop and you're wondering how someone made it, maybe you're struggling with your exports, getting them exactly to look exactly the way you want, I'm here to help you. So I think there's no better way to learn than with a hands-on, guidance. So if you have questions, during the Mapmaker Monday stream, I'll drop whatever I'm doing to provide assistance. Granted, it takes me longer to build my maps sometimes because of this, but I think I'd rather be all about the community than just focused on the map and, drilling out a map a week. I'd rather take, a month or two building the map, working on it, once a week on a Monday for an hour or two and help the community. Anyway, I don't know. I don't like to toot my own horn, but I think the way we do things at Dungeon Alchemist is a dying art. And by that, I mean, we are very active with our community and take your feedback to heart and try to incorporate it as, quickly as we can. We also, don't run you through series of automation and AI support chat bots, everything is human. And I just prefer that method, that hands-on approach where you can find a human and talk to them with us in several different places. Yeah, thank you for tuning in today. Sorry I'm not building the Ice Palace at the moment. In fact, we'll get right back to it. But just like these streams I'm here for y'all. I'm here to support the community, provide guidance, talk about you guys' map making and your session prep and your gameplay with your players or your own your own play as a player. We talk about all things tabletop gaming here. with obviously a focus on map making and Dungeon Alchemist. Speaking of tabletop gaming, yesterday my group got together for D&D, and I was mentioning that we were going to talk about that today. So this kind of turned out, but I still want to figure out why this isn't working. I'm going to work on this while we discuss this, okay? So, I just want to say that yesterday's session was interesting for several reasons. We don't get to play, you know, every week. We play once a month usually. And as such, because of this, we usually deal with a lot of things we're going to do offline. Shopping and downtime and stuff like that is pretty much resolved offline or hand waved to help save us time and focus on gameplay. So, prefacing it that with that, we're actually playing 2 times this month because it's my son and I's birthdays this month, and we offered the group an extra session. We paid for an extra session for the whole group as kind of like a happy birthday to us thing, because it'd be fun to play another game. So we're playing again next Sunday. Because of this, we had a very unique opportunity to do some more like laid back gameplay, I guess. Like, it would have been fun to just focus on the game and get right into it, but we did a lot of like downtime stuff for our Bastion. We did a lot of downtime, you know, shopping things discussed, various characters discussed their downtime, and then we showed the upgrades to our Bastion in like a live tour, which was very fun as well. So it took a little bit of time, but I enjoyed it, and I think our crew enjoyed it, though we probably won't be able to do it that often. Okay, so let's figure out how to fix this, because I'm not sure why it's broken at the moment. I think keeping walls on will make this easier. I'm just going to remove this entirely. Now, let's do this with this shape. And again, I'm generating it with walls so I can see it's actually cutting it the way I want it to do. So we do have the shape around the stair to a degree. Now I'm going to go to special, go to Ice Palace. Did I seal it? Kind of looks like it went down to the other floor. It's hard to tell. Anyway, let's delete this wall here, see what happened. Still doing the same thing, man. What a truck full of butts. Usually you should be able to fill this space in with floor. It's not recognizing it exists. Why is this doing this? Victor, that's a good question. When I used to run sessions the most, I would use Foundry. I'm currently not running an active session, though I am playing in a session, and the DM that runs that session uses Roll20 to a great success with Dungeon Alchemist maps. What kind of modifications are you wanting to do on the roofs? Because you could change them to different types, and you can obviously shape the roofing based on how the room below it is shaped. Oh, goodness. Why is this happening? So Dungeon Alchemist maps, you design and build your maps in a 3D space, giving you a lot more control over where things are and how they look, but also how you can interact with them. But they export in a top-down 2D. Traditionally, for pretty much all of tabletop gaming, it's been played in a top-down or pretty much theater of the mind. That's it. Until recently, 3D-based tabletop gaming wasn't really a thing, and it's relatively new. I'm assuming you're referring to like 3D Canvas on Foundry. So we don't really develop our compatibility for any virtual tabletop, any virtual tabletops like modules or third-party support. So if someone, made a module for Foundry, we wouldn't develop our support around that, or a script for Roll20 or otherwise. You know what I mean? A plugin for Fantasy Grounds, whatever. We develop our support for these programs directly around the program itself in its kind of vanilla state. So Foundry, traditionally, Fantasy Grounds, Roll20, most virtual tabletops you play in a top-down and either a flattened or a kind of, the image will look like a kind of a 3D perspective, but it is definitely not a 3D environment that you can go through every level. So we offer our exports in a top-down, and when you export a multi-level map that you design in 3D, it exports with every single floor available to you. So you export each level as its own. In Roll20's instance, it would be each level is its own image and a data file with it that's like a script. And then each of these would be set up as their own scene, if that makes sense. I mean, all buildings should generate with a roof, but depending on what level you're at, you might not see it. The shape of the structure makes the roof more intricate. So if you just have a square building or like a rectangular building, the roof's going to be somewhat generic, right? If you start shaping your buildings into, say, round or diagonal cuts, or like in this case, a snowflake, it will start giving you these crazy intricate designs. I think, see, I did it over here. I did it a couple weeks in this map. Something's wrong right here. I'm going to delete these staircases. We'll figure out why this is happening. Okay, we now have a floor. It worked. It worked. So, what I can recommend to you, Focal, is, are you in our Discord by chance? What happened? I'm just curious, because if you are, our Discord server is a great place to get support when the stream's not live. You can drop in, ask questions. You could spin up a question or a support thread, and then we can share pictures, video. We can look at the map you're working on because you can share the map. It makes it a lot easier to kind of see what might be the issue on your map. You might be missing something. You might have deleted the roof. Any number of things can cause the roof to disappear, but likely it's the level you're viewing it at. Notice how sometimes the roof is just entirely missing because the level I'm at won't show it all unless you're at the very top. So if you want to modify roofs, the roofing section, you have flat roofs, you have slanted roofs. All of these can just be quickly popped onto these and change them in a moment. You can't really reshape the roof into a different roof unless you shape the room itself. There is a way to kind of mod roofing by adding objects to it. You know how earlier we were kind of kit bashing objects to make a dock? Ice roofs aren't conducive to this, but many of the other roofs, you can take something like a dog house or like one of these cages and put it on top of it, and then it'll look like it's got like a little gabled section of roofing popping out of it. This isn't a great example because these roofs aren't good for it. But you could kind of see how something like this looks like there's just like a section coming out of the roof. People use these kind of things to their advantage to make neat, unique styles. And this isn't the only thing that you can kind of do that with. We have all these what are they, these little tiny houses too. People use these to spin up like a whole village, war table assets, but they can also be used to make little like outcroppings of roofings and stuff like that on buildings. Additionally, we have all these other structural objects like I showed earlier. We have like domes and various objects. Let's see here. Was it stone? I'm trying to remember which ones we were looking at. But a lot of these things can be placed on top of structures to add to their their design and make them kind of different, you know? At the moment, our roofs are going to be somewhat generic. We have a roof generating algorithm that was designed pretty much almost exclusively by our lead developer. He based it off of an existing algorithm that only like a handful of people in the world know how to use or understand. And anyway, basically, he adapted it to generating roofing, and it's getting better and better every time he improves it. But at the same time, it's a singular use case for this. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Anyway, I'm gonna delete this. I think deleting the staircases fixed this for some reason. I don't know why it was a problem, but now it's not. So let's make sure the floor matches first and foremost. Looks like these are bad boys. I should have clicked this. I made a mistake. There we go. There we go. We got matching tiles. Now, what I'm going to do is delete this section right here. What's going on down here? There is no wall there. Is that an object? What is that? What is that? Like a... No, it's not a wall either. Weird. Okay. I am cursed. Okay, everything seems to be working so far. Yay! I fixed it. I don't know. I think deleting the staircases was the big aha moment here. It shouldn't have been, but it was. It might be, but I don't know why it's there. And it should let me delete it. It should delete itself. Like, I don't know what's wrong. Kind of does look like a roof border, but this ain't a roof. If it's one that was put there manually, this should get rid of it. Ah, okay, let's fix this here. Maybe that might be part of it. Weird. Is that not the same ice roof? There we go. There's part of it. Hopefully that fixed it. Nope. We wouldn't be that lucky. Yeah, I guess so, but usually it isn't. I think it's just this ice there's some quirkiness with these ice rooms. But I'm glad that I wasn't going... I mean, I felt like I was going insane a little bit, like Dungeon Alchemist was gaslighting me a little bit. It's like, no, you can't do that. What I'm going to do is go over it with this, and then... Darn it! It is not an object. It is like an artifact. I mean, that was more difficult than it should have been, but I'm also glad we got it to work. So... But Rev, I do think you're right. It's likely a roof border. It's like a remnant from the room before, but it's like broken. And, oh, I got an idea. Let's try this. Ah, I was hoping. Might be. I keep secretly hoping refreshing it over and over again will fix it, but it's not gonna. I'm gonna save it though. See, the thing is this is a regular room, right? It's a big square room. It's not an object. It does look like a roof border or when this was a roof at one point, right? Anyway, I'm just happy this much of it is fixed. So we're going to go with this. We're going to be grateful. I did, man. Thank you for asking. How you doing, Volkar? For some reason, just not letting it cut it out and doing this manually, I think, is the way to do it. Watch. Nope, did not work. Okay, we'll generate this one. There we go. I guess it is order of operations for some reason. but it does work. So the key is taking the room tool be a separate room than the existing room type. So it cannot be, if you're doing an ice palace, you can't be using ice palace again, because even if it's a separate room there, it bugs out for some reason. I guess we could try. Let's just try it. Okay. What? It worked this time. Okay. Okay. The game is working better for me, I guess. I'm going to undo this really quick. Reason being is if I generate this as Ice Palace going forward, all the roofs are going to stay the same. It wasn't working the way I wanted it to earlier, so I just ditched it. But now it's working perfectly. I don't know what changed. Let's just say fate. You know, honestly, Dungeon Alchemist, I love it. It's amazing, but it is in early access. So sometimes things just don't work 100% like you expect they should or anticipate they should. But guess what? We got it working the way I wanted it to. This is coming along nicely. Symmetry. Real question is, do we keep going up? Looking around, make sure all the roofs, the roofing is looking normal. Oh, fantastic, Focal. I'm happy for you. And if you need more assistance, you know, in the downtime, feel free to drop into our, you know, Discord or ping us on social media, okay? So, will that work on the next floor? Yarr. The alternative was doing something like this and moving it in right on itself so it just goes up. But I like being able to get out at every level, because I'm going to add windows and stuff to make it like a cool, like, visual. The key is just making the traversal path to the upstairs, which has been very difficult, more difficult than I thought it would be. Learn something new every day. Like that I am tone deaf. So does it kind of make sense how I'm shaping the stair? I wish this was automatic. I want to talk to the devs about it, but our lead dev is out of the office for like the next month, so don't want to bother him about it. I'll maybe talk to our other lead and see what he thinks. Because this should just be an automatic process when generating round staircases. It should be very clean like this. Ah, because I'm generating it without roofs, like a ding-dong. One floor is different. All right. Uh-oh, I'm getting a lag spike. I'm gonna save. Then reload DA in a minute. Save twice, just to be safe. I'm gonna close Dungeon Alchemist, it's acting funky. Okay, reloading DA now. Ah, that looks really cool, man. I love that they're kind of bringing back the old school knight aesthetic, but giving it a fantasy flair. Anani. I think it's single staircase time. Might put one in one of these sides, and then it goes up to like... Constantine, a server-side issue that won't allow you to browse the maps. Like, are you having issues browsing through Dungeon Alchemist? I bet you I know how to fix it. And if you're having issues like this, then you should be talking to me about it. That's exactly what I'm here for. Is Steam Workshop down? Huh. Wow, it is. Yeah, no, nothing we can do then. Hold on. Down Detector is getting thousands of reports right now for Steam, so yeah. There is 3,000 reports in the last hour from Down Detector. So there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing we can do. Other than just accept it for what it is. But if that does happen and Steam isn't down, usually it's caused by a variety of different things that are kind of hard to pinpoint at any given point, but it could be a quick Steam blip, like maybe they're doing some backside maintenance or an update. It could be something to do with your ISP. It just temporarily, had a hiccup or dropped internet connection. But basically, Dungeon Alchemist has what's called offline mode in it. And if it detects for any reason that there's a connection issue to Steam or with your internet as it tries to load, it'll load in offline mode. I've seen it do this even just from opening Dungeon Alchemist from a shortcut on your desktop. It doesn't always happen, but sometimes opening it from a shortcut, if it takes too long to open, for instance, it may think that your internet's out, and then you run into this issue. But that's what the problem is inherently here, is that you are essentially running into Dungeon Alchemist. Well, not at the moment. Steam's down. But if you see that otherwise, where it says there's connection issues, and you're like, well, my internet's working, I can go to Steam and look at it, then likely it's either just Dungeon Alchemist detected an issue and loaded in offline mode, or it's possibly something to do with like your router or ISP. I've seen that happen when people's routers were configured with weird port forwarding, or their ISP thought Steam Workshop was some kind of pirating site, or like they were downloading too much, so it was throttling it, etc. So there's several reasons it can be it can happen, but it's very rare. I maybe hear about it from one user in our community maybe every 3 or 4 weeks. Just kind of giving you an idea of like, it's not a very common thing. But yeah, I typically upload every map that I work on. The only one I haven't uploaded was two, was the cemetery that isn't finished because I'm waiting for the next update to come out and give a whole bunch of added cemetery content. Because I was getting, it's a massive cemetery. It's like 80 by 80, but I've shrank all the graves down to fit like hundreds of thousands of them. And as a result of which, I kind of, like, I was trying to make it feel like an ancient cemetery that'd been around for hundreds of thousands of years. So there's just tons of graves, tons of styles, tons of areas. And as a result of which, the map was taking so long to make. And I got to this point where the devs were like, you need to move on to a different map. So, and I need to take less time making maps. So essentially all our projects now I try to make them around a month and a half tops. Oh, we're going up and we don't even have a floor yet. I guess we could just make this the king's room. We can also seal it off with a door if we want, because these walls can actually go up to the ceiling if we so choose. I don't know. I'm happy that I got this to work. Ooh, let's see if that artifact... Pashoisha. S. In the highest room in the tallest tower. I do think that there needs to be a new, like, fantasy story, but it needs to be narrated by Matthew Barry. In the highest room of the tallest tower, my father plotted his revenge upon me. Have y'all watched... I think Matt Berry has the perfect, like, fancy British narrator voice. And I think he deserves all the success in the world. How you doing, Anani? Welcome back. Oh, we were just, being funny. Want to try something here. Yep. Stairs ain't gonna do it. I'd have to do it manually if I wanted that to work. I get it now. Okay. Yeah, order of operations is important. I say it all the time, but yet I don't follow my own advice. But are any of you familiar with Matt Berry? He was in more recently What We Do in the Shadows. He was a small part in the Fallout TV show. He plays Codsworth. He's like the voice of Codsworth, the robot. And then he, let's see here. He's in IT Crowd. He did a small part in Community. He's done a lot of different roles over the years, but he's definitely starting to cement himself as a very popular actor. A few years ago, he did a commercial for Sea of Thieves, and I was so pleasantly surprised. Anyway, I love him as an actor. Toast of London, a show that was his, he was in, pretty good. Yes! Yes! Hello, Stephen. Clem Fandango here. It's just one word. Can you say it without reading the script? Oh, yes, it's just one word. I'll say it without reading the script. Yes! I love Matt Berry too much. He's great. If you haven't seen any of these shows I'm talking about, he's very good. Okay, I'm trying to decide, should I keep going up or should I finish it here? Thinking. I do need to move on to window treatments next, though. And then we'll start decorating. So if I'm going to go upward more, I need to decide soon. Though I do think this palace is quite ominous as it stands. What do y'all think? I'm open to suggestions. Should I should I cement the design as is, start putting in windows, doors, stuff like that, so we can start decorating it next week? Hey, Anani, did you hear what I said about the Lego set that you shared? So you must have missed it when you were gone. So the Lego set you shared, it reminds me of the old school knight sets from Lego, mashed up with a modern kind of fantasy flair. You know what I mean? So they kind of added some whimsical fantasy to it, but then at the same time, it has some of those elements that remind me of like the old knight sets. Well, then good. Yeah, that they nailed it. I mean, kind of did happen in What We Do in the Shadows, Wicker. Basically, Jack, what happened is there's an episode where Nandor in What We Do in the Shadows was going to a museum with his familiar, Guillermo, and another vampire, I believe, or two were with them. And it's a museum for the Ellis Island, like the history of Ellis Island, right? And one of the museum exhibits was there was a bunch of items that had been lost during transfer, you know, when people were traveling. So like then they were never recovered. So lost and found items, or items that, you know, maybe got shipped to the wrong place. And the item they're looking at, the whole set of items was like a whole bunch of clothing of someone who was from this region called El Canadash, which is actually where Nandar's from. And he's like, oh man, this is stuff from my region. And then they start showing off all the stuff. And then they were reading from a diary. They're like, this person seems to have had delusions of grandeur and would write around about fake things like, you know, making love while flying, etc. But he was a vampire who could fly, so he could do those things. But to anyone else, they'd think he's crazy. Lorenzo over on Facebook. Lorenzo Fabre says, hi, Dungeon Alchemist. Always a pleasure playing with this awesome tool. Any release date for the new update? No, I don't have a specific date. We were hoping to lock in before the end of the summer, but and I might as well say it again now for those that didn't hear it on Saturday. Our lead dev needs to take a little bit of time off. He was nearing burnout and needs just a mental health reprieve for, you know, recharging his batteries, as we all do from time to time. But also he was dealing with some physical issues that were also compounding the problem and making it hard for him to sleep. So our lead dev on our 10-man team, if he starts to falter, the whole project can falter. So he says he needs a little bit of time off to recharge his batteries. I trust his judgment, and I think it's a good call. I support him 100%, and I would much rather him, you know, be feeling at top shape than, you know, pushing himself over his limits. So we were hoping to release before the end of the summer, but it looks like we're going to be about a month, maybe 2 months beyond that, so maybe into fall. Carl, our lead developer, is essentially the backbone of this project, the spine of it all. And if he's not able to, you know, push forward with the project, we can run into problems. So I think the best idea is to trust his judgment and err on the side of caution. If he needs time off, we you know, let him take time off. Let's start putting some windows and all this stuff. I think I got most of the... Oh, I need to go down here and put windows too. Let's start on the ground level. There will not be windows in these structures because these are not accessible. This is just wall for all intents and purposes. Wall. So it's like a 10-foot thick wall. And I sealed it off on all ends. So if it was exported for like a virtual tabletop, it would be sealed off. Your players wouldn't be able to see in there. They wouldn't have access. Wafa, hope you're well. Welcome back. So Lorenzo, by the way, I hope that answers your question. Next question is from DeWids on Twitch. You guys plan to include features like Fog of War to make it possible to run games using DA as an in-person VTT? I think it would be amazing to be able to use the 3D POV option while running a game. You know what? That's a great question. DeWids, I hope I pronounced that right. DeWids. There's a big, you know, there's a lot of people hoping that we'll add features like this in Dungeon Alchemist. One thing I want to first off point out, Dungeon Alchemist is not a VTT. It's a virtual table. It's not a virtual tabletop. It's a map making tool and an immersion utility, right? So a virtual tabletop is a very distinct piece of software that is meant to facilitate gameplay, you know, movement of tokens, dice rolling, automatic rule, you know, determination, things like player character sheet and inventory management, effects, weather, stuff like that. Fog of War is a big one, right? So Foundry, Fantasy Grounds, Roll20, they are virtual tabletops. Dungeon Alchemist is distinctly a map making tool, not a virtual tabletop. Now, to that end, we do have a lot of people request, hey, will you be adding Fog of War? Hey, will you be adding these features? It'd be so great to run within Dungeon Alchemist. Trust me, you're not the first person to suggest this, and you're not the last. You're not going to be the last. We have plenty of people who use Dungeon Alchemist as a limited VTT for in-person play with like a TV tabletop, or even online through things like Discord or Zoom or Teams, where they stream the view for their players and just kind of run through the session where they'll slowly reveal the map to their players a little bit at a time, or a level at a time, and they even move their players' characters for them because they have the grid present. Their players say, hey, where I want to go up to here, you know, squares directly forward, and then they'll move them forward, whatever. So I've seen every bit and piece of every kind of variation you can think of as using Dungeon Alchemist as a tool it wasn't necessarily intended for. Now, that's not a problem, and we love this feedback. We love that people are using it as ways we didn't intend. But I don't think that Dungeon Alchemist will ever fully become a VTT, because that would give it a lot of what in the industry they call feature creep. I don't know if you're familiar with feature creep at all, but essentially, when you have feature creep, it adds a lot of extra features to a program and makes it bloated. It delays the project, and it often makes it run poorly, because when it's trying to be a Swiss Army knife, a master of everything, it ends up being, it loses out and has, really a lot of faults instead of promise. So I think our devs are probably going to err on the side of caution and focus on making Dungeon Alchemist the best map making tool it can be. But I have good news. There's light at the end of the tunnel of this massive explanation. Ultimately, we do plan to leave early access and, bring Dungeon Alchemist to what is called a full release. We'll still continue supporting it, providing patches, new object packs, etc., and optional expansions that bridge into things like cyberpunk, sci-fi, etc., so you can expand the themes and options of what type of maps you can make with Dungeon Alchemist. That would still stay in the purview of Dungeon Alchemist as a map-making tool. But they said they want to make a tool that works in tandem with it, a supplemental piece of software, a standalone tool that would work as a VTT, that at the end of the day would pair very, very well with Dungeon Alchemist. Imagine if a VTT was designed around Dungeon Alchemist and for it, it would be like pairing peanut butter and chocolate. You know what I mean? You probably get the best map making and ideally a virtual tabletop that supports all of the intricacies and quirks of Dungeon Alchemist. We do have a few tools, like a grid that's built in. If you're playing, are you, Dwids, can I ask a few questions about how you play so I can understand a little bit more about it? So you say an in-person VTT, are you using a TV tabletop or a projector tabletop by chance? And if you are, which one? I'd like to know more. Okay, so let's go to this ground level here on the inside, and I want to start adding like windows so we can get some light inside this. I'm so confused. Wasn't that just in the... Ah, I see what's going on. I think this corner was a little bit smaller bite. Interesting. I didn't realize I did this earlier. Okay, so that will work. But I'm hoping... Nah, we can't delete it off the end there. Okay. Why is that one just buggy as all? So that corner, I think I pulled it in further, and so it was too big. Wouldn't fit. So what I would recommend, because you're playing in person, you have some options, right? The widths. What I would recommend is, you know, you have physical props you can use on top of your TV for Fog of War. I've heard of players using like a black sheet that they cover parts of the television. They peel it back as the players get closer or can look into, say, a building or whatever, or behind a wall. Additionally, I've seen DMs that are creative and cut out like what is essentially like a big piece of like poster board and put it over the television and would reveal portions of it. Alternatively, if you run the maps through a virtual tabletop software like Foundry and play locally on Foundry on the TV tabletop that you're using or projector or whatever, you can use what's called group vision. There's shared vision tools and plugins. Say you're using Foundry or another tool. Similarly, there may be an option for Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds similarly where all of the players' tokens share vision. So essentially, as the map is revealed for the furthest token along, it reveals everything to them. So essentially, you would use the Fog of War tools in a virtual tabletop to supplement your TV tabletop. I've seen plenty of people use virtual tabletop tools on a TV tabletop with reasonable success. Keep making a mistake, so I just want to make sure I get this right. There it is. There's the flavor. I don't know why I messed this up earlier. I think I pulled the circle in further. And just to fix it has been like 10 steps for some reason. What? Okay, should be able to put that glass there now. Let's make sure this wall is all the same though, so it doesn't have those pillars. On the outside, it is that. There we go. I made a mistake like 3 sessions ago. Had to fix it there. So, my bad. All good though. You could try above VTT. It's free and it works with Dungeon Alchemist. A lot of... Did I do it here too? No! Yeah, see, that one's a nice boomerang. This one's like a stealth bomber here. It looks more like... Or like a chubby stealth bomber. That one's nice and clean. Well, gotta fix it again. Fantasy Grounds is also free. Hey, Scooby-Doo, how you doing? Come on, Scooby-Doo. I see you. Pretending you've got a shiver. But you're not fooling me, 'cause I can see the way you shake and shiver. What did I do? Okay, we've got the V-Wing back. I need to round that, though. I don't know if I'll be able to do this. I'm trying to reverse engineer this shape, and it's not going well. Let me try something else here. Might have to just fill this with a room and delete that portion. Yep, that's how it's gonna have to be. How is that outside? Well, I got the shape. We're good. I just had to reverse engineer it because I made a dumb mistake like 2 weeks ago, I guess. There we go. Now I just got to delete what's in here. Yay! It took way longer than it should have. And because this is technically a new room right here, it's all... Ugh. We got it, fam. Why it's not deleting these polls, though, is beyond me. Oh, we got one wrong room type, wall type. Well. There we go. Only took me 10 years. You're community manager, people. Have you ever, hey, Marcelo, you can just make a circular wooden shape and make all sorts of coliseums and whatnot. There's dozens of examples, but shaping a room into a circular shape and deleting out its center can make grandstands that are round and wooden with relative ease, actually. 1 second here, let me save. Owlbear's another great free alternative. Let me save this twice. We'll open up a new map to kind of just show you how to make a grandstand type situation. Hey, Atlam, there's someone in Discord in the DA users helping users section. Can you pop in there and let them know that the stream is live and they can come over here and get some help right now? So please use the question form. Okay, so I've got a new map here. I'm going to select village. I'm going to select cabin because I like the wood wall structure. I'm just going to generate something that is like a donut structure. I'm going to turn on the grid so I can see it actively. The biggest full round structure you can make is 20 by 20. Anything beyond that becomes a squircle. It's a circle prior. Anything beyond that is squircle. It has kind of like straight and then round. Squircle, exactly how it sounds, okay? So I'm going to make a circular structure to start, and then I'm going to delete a circular structure in the center. I could make this larger if I wanted to. If you hold control while you're using the room generation tool, it deletes sections instead of generates it. Notice what I'm making here. It's like a donut shape, right? So if you notice here, I've got a nice center area for like fighting, like a Coliseum type situation. Okay. I can even go up above this, delete this roof if I want, or generate a room on top of it. And do the exact same thing again. Oops. just happened there? Come on, man. That one's definitely being problematic. Cannot see the dot there. It's frustrating. God, I'm just going to generate this all and delete it out. Easier to delete after the fact. So here I built like what is a large grandstand in just like a couple of clicks. I honestly, not perfect, but I can flatten out this section here, for instance. Make this tool nice and large. Lower it a little bit even, make it like a pit. Or you can have it to, you know, room height, which is right there. We could change this to dirt or even put like actual floors if we want. We could have it be a room in the center. There's lots of options at this point. You can use floor tools or terrain tools depending on how you structure this, right? So I could go into the terrain tools, use any of the terrain options to pad this out as dirt, make it like a natural structure. So you've got this kind of wooden grandstand. And at this point, if you want to make these floors different things, you could do that as well. We can put structures on top of this, like stairs to make seating. We disable collisions and grab a very specific set of stairs. These work great. These grandstand ones can go all the way around the edge if you just spend a moment lining it up. Heck, you could even put a banister around this edge. Here, this is going to be fun. Go to plus, we'll go to half walls. Let's do... These look fun. I mean, the grid is the ruler, my friend. You kind of count the squares as you go. Or you could download a ruler from the workshop. There's plenty of measuring tools available. We also have an assortment of like round objects too that can kind of help with these things if you need to. But at the end of the day, I really do. I don't mind taking some stairs and putting them in manually by hand to get kind of a round effect with some walkways here and there going through things. Collisions off helps a ton. If you collisions off means you turn on the fun. Essentially, with collisions on, you're going to restrict what you can and can't do at any given point. With collisions off, you have a lot more freedom over your build. Here, these could work good. So you can kind of make like improvisational bleachers using stairs if you want. That's one way to do it. Grandstands that do exist work well as well, but we could also use the room tool to make a balcony above this. Ultimately, the room shaping tools give you a lot of fun. But yeah, you got to get used to how they work a little bit. Do you see where this is going? So up on this part, we could put just like a room that's just a ledge, right? We can get rid of the walls. Or just have the outer wall. Oh, this tool's too big and it's deleting walls I don't want it to. Ah! There we go. So this is where you could have like a stair underneath going up to this, leading up to this like nice VIP section. But yeah, you got all these wooden platforms, scaffolding, steps. You could really incorporate, plus you have chairs and things too. So down below, you could have like the commoner seating, right? Heck, I probably might even shrink these down to like 75% to start. So the object scaling for all objects you pull out from here on out are much smaller. So we start with like one of these, start tucking them in right against the edge here. We can even put in some of these behind them. Really like wrangle it in at the base or in the front, so it's like there's a walkway. But either way, man, 75% ain't it. Let's try 85. Got to try and find the right size for this. Man, maybe 100% was the way to go. Leave a little walkway in front, right? And then just kind of merge these, overlap them a little bit. Gonna look a little awkward in parts, but darn, over time it'll start looking really good. If you have collisions off, you can really rotate these to your advantage and kind of line them up better. That makes sense. Might even make more sense to start at the edge here where it meets up. Start building it off of that. Little bit of by hand work, but oh my goodness, could you make like a really cool grandstand arena? There's some good examples of coliseums out there too. Yeah, you could put a skybox around the end as well. But do you get the idea of where I'm going with this, my friend? Probably do some stuff like this too. try the big canopy, see what that does. Another thing too on this, because it's a balcony, right? You can take and use these walls. They've got like half walls, so we could put like a banister up here to make it nicer. So it's like there's a clear separation between these. On the floor below, we could put a staircase in here. So let's do, which stair? Which stair are we gonna do? Which stair are we gonna do? Thinking a round stair will probably be best. Just like a wooden round stair. But we could put it like right here, right? We could put a door here, wall this all off so it's like a private section. Let's put a door. Can even add a few more walls in there. It's like people can't really get in. Let's use a different wood wall. I'm gonna try and match that. What one is that? It's okay, we'll use this. Then up here, you could see where that staircase is carving in, right? Use the room tool to make a custom room right here. We're gonna make it still cabin. But now we can delete this floor here. Oh, that wall cut through it. We're gonna have to get rid of that one at least. Well, I'm gonna put some banisters here. So there's totally ways to transition these spaces, but it's a little bit more work than just generating a room. You're gonna have to do a little bit of by hand work, and at the end of the day, though, it's so worth it. Once you pull it off, it looks so good. Then you could put up some nice seating here, so we could put up like thrones with like the baldachin, so they have shade. We could also put a roof over them, right? But you get the idea. This could be the fancier part with nice fancy walls even. And when you're at the top, we want to give them a nice fancy roof. Or we could do a tinted roof. So it's like they've got a canopy up here. Yeah, we'll probably do an arena next time. It does seem like a good concept to teach. Who would want to, after we finish the Ice Palace, me make an arena like this? Like a Coliseum? I'm just kind of showing the concept, really, at the end of the day. Anyway, I hope this makes more sense. Showing you that you can do circular whatnot designs and get really into it at the end of the day. I can't save this one and do it because then people would have missed out on all of this. But you get the idea, Marcelo, right? A big part of this is the room shaping tools. So when you draw a room, Marcelo, you can shape that room before you finish generating it. So before you click this, you can grab these little dots and you can pull outward or inward to make round shapes, like convex or concave shapes, right? Alternatively, if you pull to the side, you can make diagonal cuts. But when you're making a round building, it's very important that it's a perfectly symmetrical shape. It can't be 8 by 10. It has to be something that's equally divisible on all sides. Meaning it has to be like 10 by 10, 12 by 12, 6 by 6. In our case, we started with 20 by 20. But if it's 10 by 10, you can grab, if the grid's on, this helps, by the way, you can grab the corner and then pull it in 5 squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's notched in across 5 of them. You can do the same thing on the other side. It automatically makes it a circle. Once you've done that, you can then generate that circular shape. 20 by 20 is the max. Yeah, it has to be a perfect square, so it can't be a rectangle. So essentially, you have to start with a perfect square to make a perfect circle. Does that make sense? Can even do this in the opposite direction if you really want. So here we can make a fighting pit down into the center. You know what I mean? And you could build up off of the pit if you so see, you know, if you so want to. Anyway, using the room shaping tools to make rooms on top of rooms and then deleting those rooms and whatnot, it can work to your advantage. No walls. What we're trying to do is distinguish this into 2 separate rooms. When you do this, it allows you to delete a portion or just delete that room entirely. Now we go underground. We generate us a new room in that space. We give it some walls and no floors because we want dirt. See there? Fighting pit. Perfect circle fighting pit. Isn't that neat? Heck, this top doesn't have to be that nice fancy wood. You can put this rickety old wood up top, or you could put some stones. You could put some dirt if you want, like some stamped earth. And if the bottom is a floor as well, you could do that there. So if you do add a floor in to the bottom, then it can be also any of the floor options available to you. So I could make this all grass if I wanted to. Or I could make it all stone in the bottom. You get the idea of how what we're doing though. And how it can work to make all sorts of grandstands, fighting pits, whatever, really, at the end of the day. I hope I, gave it a bunch of you some inspiration and ideas, too. But yeah, I think something like this would be fun to build. Maybe eventually we'll dive back into it. But we definitely got to separate the fancies from the poors in our fighting arena, right? Heaven forbid the rich people have to even be anywhere near the poor people. Oh, the world we live in. It is awful. Heck, we could even probably leave a center area where it's like angled in and there's a door to get in. And there could be like concessions underneath here somewhere. Like there's a walkway and a door in here. Check it. Let's do an arch. Oh, wow, it fits perfectly too. So in there you could put concessions or something underneath. Honestly, I'm vibing with this. I want to keep it, but I'll build it again sometime. It didn't take me long. Y'all saw how quick I made this, right? It won't take long at all. Let's get back to the Ice Palace. Marcelo, I hope that guides you along the way in building your grandstands. But yeah, circular shaped rooms, multi-level, deleting circles, putting a circular room in a circular room and deleting that circle. Using the collision toggle to your advantage will definitely help you, my friend. Oh my. These are big boy windows. I like those. We're going to do that instead. Welcome to the 24-hour rock block. This is the Mac Attack. And we're here bringing you the hits of the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and today. Sorry if I'm too much sometimes, people. I'm kind of liking what I'm doing with this staggered pattern, but I'm feeling like I should have started earlier. Yeah, I skipped right over that, didn't I? Didn't even realize it. It's too funny. I like how it also kind of looks like a snowflake a little bit. Okay. Darn it! Not a perfect shape. I messed up. That's the right place it's supposed to be. So let's try a double window, see if we can make this work. About the only symmetry I can get. That weird double gap in the middle. Or I can just put one in the middle. Well, that's it, friends. I'm not going to be fixing the whole shape of the castle at this point. It's too late. Made my bed. Ah, I see now. Because we have the arches over here. To get into the courtyard. That makes sense. It might actually fix itself here. Instead of having a window here, there's arches. So I might just do that all the way around. This is the bottom floor. And I was going to put some stuff out here, so... yeah, it makes sense. Oh my goodness, look at the time. Sadly, it's time to wrap up the stream. But you know what? We covered a lot of cool stuff today. Not only did I kind of figure out these stairs and why it was bugging out, we got stairs all the way up to the top, and we're starting the window treatments for the entire building, which made some progress. Working with symmetry is hard because I'm a perfectionist with this stuff, so I'm going to be trying to get it exactly a certain way. You know what I mean? So we'll see. That said, we're going to be spending the next stream just blasting through windows to get them all, as much of them done as quickly as possible. Hey, Spicy, how you doing? So I'm making an ice palace, snow palace type thing. I wanted it to be like really tall and feel like cold and imposing. I feel like it's run by like an ice wizard or like an ice warlock or something. So I built a multi-level structure that is kind of designed to give off this terrifying, imposing presence. You know, I honestly don't have a guest lined up for this next Saturday because I had one lined up and the schedule was, there was a mix up and it isn't going to work out. So we may not have a guest slot this Saturday unless I can find someone on short notice. And I feel really bad asking someone on short notice. We'll see. I've got a few people that I can reach out to, that I know have been either that I know, or I at least feel are somewhat interested in being a guest. So we'll see. I don't have a guest as of right now. So this is the first time in months, so like a year, I haven't had a guest lined up. And it's probably because I was on vacation and just the guest I lined up, like I said, it fell through. So, so when we have guests on the stream, they vary. Sometimes they're the members of our dev or art team. Sometimes they're people from other, similar communities, like virtual tabletop, community manager or developer might show up. We also invite a lot of guests from our community up. So various map makers, DMs, GMs, to get their feedback and talk to them about their campaigns, their map making style. So our guests are usually every other Saturday we have a guest slot on, and we invite them on to, just discuss their experience with tabletop gaming, map making, whatever they work on. Ooh, this is looking good. This is looking real good. So, Spicy, this particular building, I work on it every Monday for our Mapmaker Monday streams. So at Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific, that is 12 p.m. Eastern or 4 p.m. UTC is when we start. And we run for about usually 2 hours or so. 2 hours, 20 minutes. In fact, we're going to be wrapping up here in a moment. But you can kind of see how it looks. If you look at it from a top down, this map actually, I intended it to look like a snowflake. So essentially, you can get above it and kind of get a good view here. Here, let's go into the tracing view. And today, throughout the stream, we focused on trying to get the staircases to function, and which was tricky because I needed symmetry in those too, right? So it took me a while to get all the staircases to the top floor just right. And now I'm working on windows. Once I get all the windows done, we're going to start decorating from the ground up. Courtyard, each room as we go. But when this map is finished, I'll release it on the Steam Workshop for our community. Anyone who owns a copy of Dungeon Alchemist will be able to access the map and download it for free. I used to play Sims back in the day. Like, the original Sims was the one I got my foot wet on with the Sims. I played it in my teens quite a bit. My wife, she plays Sims 4, absolutely loves it. She also loves Dungeon Alchemist because she says it's Sims meets Baldur's Gate, and then there's no stress about worrying about the Sims. She said if she could just spend time building and not have to worry about her Sims all the time, it'd be a little bit more fun. But then she also likes the drama sometimes and messing with her Sims. So, or, seeing all the cool things she can do with them. So I understand how some people enjoy there being a narrative or something going on while you're building. Others just like the cathartic building experience. That's a bummer, Shlomo, though you can always tune into the VODs to see the interview, right? But yeah, Spicy, if you have any questions, we're going to be wrapping up here in a couple of minutes, but if you have any questions about Dungeon Alchemist as a whole, or what you can do with it, let me know. Primarily its purpose is to build maps that are intended for like tabletop games such as D&D, Pathfinder, etc. But there are plenty of people in our community who just make maps with it for fun because they enjoy it and like making maps. So at the end of the day, it's really just whatever tool you want it to be. It's Monday and Saturday we stream. So on Mondays, we do Mapmaker Monday, where I build a map live. You can follow along, ask questions in AMA format. On Saturday, we do what's called the Dungeon Alchemist Map Making Show. So we have Mapmaker Monday and the Dungeon Alchemist map making show. By the way, thank you for the follow. Much appreciated. Spicy. Mapmaker Monday is today. On Saturday, we have basically what is essentially the same itinerary every Saturday with one minor change. Every other Saturday is an interview with a guest, usually someone from our community or our dev team or a similar community, or the alternating Saturday is what's called the Dam Challenge. And you see the marquee across the screen next to me. It says the Dam Challenge theme is brew. Every other Saturday, we have what's a map making contest called the Dam Challenge. We pick a theme, usually as a group, or the group suggests themes and I pick one. And then we give our community roughly 2 weeks to build a map of any shape or size using that theme as inspiration. Usually the theme's 1 to 2 words, so it's not too over the top or too much thought going into it. We like it to be a simple, fun experience where more than anything, you're challenging yourself to be a better map maker and try new things and experiment with the tool and learn it. So we always get a cool assortment of maps following that theme that are all, some of them are kind of similar, a lot of them are on their own tangents. And that's the cool thing about these contests is it allows you to just artistically express yourself, play around with Dungeon Alchemist, see what it can do, and share your work with the community, kind of put yourself out there. Anyway, if you're, gotcha. So you're like what, in New Zealand, Australia, something like that? How do they say it? New Zealand? I'm just kidding. New Zealand? Honestly, New Zealand culture is really cool. Y'all are pretty awesome in my book. Alrighty. Everyone, thank you for hanging out today. Again, my name is Mac, the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. I want to remind you, Dungeon Alchemist is available on Steam. We offer a free demo so you can download and try Dungeon Alchemist out before you buy. So if you want to see how well it runs on your computer, see if you enjoy the tool as a whole, the demo is available on Steam for anyone. Keep in mind the demo is a limited slice of the pie. It is a demo. So you only get access to one biome, a limited object set, and a singular room type, i.e. a tavern. So you can make a tavern set in a forest and decorate the tavern. But say you wanted to build, say, a tent set in a desert, you would have to own the full copy of Dungeon Alchemist to do that. Additionally, remember everyone, when you own a full copy of Dungeon Alchemist, you get access to the Steam Workshop repository of maps and assets shared by our community. Currently, there's over 14,000 maps, 14,800, close to 15,000 maps available that you could just download and use for your tabletop campaigns on a whim. So if you're running a D&D or a Pathfinder campaign or any tabletop game set in a fantasy setting primarily, you'll have a lot available to you. And if you've noticed here, there's also, it looks like here's a Spelljammer, like airship type thing. It looks like someone made a crazy starship here, a nuclear tower. You can do limited sci-fi, cyberpunk, Warhammer, all sorts of stuff. I've even seen Fallout builds. Anyway, thank you everyone for being here. I hope you have an amazing week. We'll be back on Saturday with the Dungeon Alchemist map making show. If I line up a guest before then, I will let y'all know. If not, though, we'll probably just hang out, vibe. Oh my gosh, I just realized we didn't really talk about what happened with D&D today. Did we? Constantine, thank you for the follow. I'm going to spend 5 minutes running y'all through D&D. Okay? Maybe 10. So because our session, about a third of it was spent just doing downtime stuff. Okay. There was a lot of downtime deliberation rolling for resolving 8 weeks of Bastion turns and downtime for everyone. Some of our players did some crafting. Some of our players did some gambling or fighting pit stuff. Other people went and worked for their various temples and tried to earn favor with them. So that we had to roll for a lot of that stuff, which we normally do out of session, but it's okay. We had a lot of fun. People got some neat items and potions from the Bastion, and everyone enjoyed it. And we got to check out the Bastion and see all the upgrades, right? So, to that end, okay, after all that took place, we immediately started into the campaign. A person who we've known for some time, who was essentially the boat captain who took us from the previous place we were exploring to this new town where we have our bastion and live, called Grindavik, is the town we live in. We were previously in a place called Malaja Rock. The dude who transported us there was a friend of the person who helped us arrange to get our bastion and move to this location. His name was Skaius Cross. Skaius came to us. He's actually been living with us for some time. He's a guest at our bastion because we rolled to have a guest defender, and he was the guest defender the DM picked. So he's been living with us pretty much ever since we got here. But Skaius, he brought a friend to us who he bumped into at the tavern, who was an old friend of his. It was a dwarven female who I can't quite remember her name because we only just met her, but I have her in my game notes. She was in bad shape. She basically had fled from her hometown, which was like 4 or 5 days away, nearby us, near a town called Few Days Away, it's quite literally called Few Days Away, and it's a few days walk from where we were. So, we joked about that a little bit, the name of the town, obviously, and then we talked with this lady to see what was going on. She said her town, which was a dwarven town that's kind of isolationist, settled underground with kind of in a mountain area, was besieged by drow and their constructs, and they essentially either captured, killed, or everyone else fled, right? And these drow have taken over their city. She has 5 friends, colleagues, family members that she wants us to go find and rescue, in addition to hopefully clearing the drow out of the village and, allowing her people to come back because they're essentially refugees at this moment. So, Jim, what we did was when we moved into the Bastion, we had a bunch of Bastion roles at the time, and there's all these Bastion events you can get. And one of them is you can have a guest defender come live with you. And we don't know many people in this area. He just said out loud, he's like, you don't really know anyone. Skaius is really the only person you know, so we might as well make him be the guest. And I was like, are you sure you want to do that? Because it says in the Bastion that they don't leave until we release them, i.e. tell them that it's okay to go, or they die. And he was like, oh. And I'm like, so technically Skaius works for us now, kind of as a mercenary. And I like that because he has a boat. And this has actually come in handy for us, because in the last arc of our last big major quest line, we had to get to a place. It was a sea cave, kind of out on the shoreline in the middle of nowhere. So we had to use his boat to get there. And then he waited for us while we explored through the sea cave and then got into the air pocket inside, and then cleared out the dungeon. So we had a transport when we got back. And if we had a ton of loot, then he'd be able to help us carry it and whatnot. So he lives with us as a guest defender due to luck of rolls and the DM choosing that character. He could have picked anyone, but he chose him. So kind of nice. We do have a boat now. And, well, it's not our boat, but if something happens to Skaius, it will be. Anyway, Skaius introduces us to this distraught dwarven lady who, I'm going to be honest with you, I always thought dwarven women had beards because of, like, Lord of the Rings, right? Anyway, of course Eric's here. Silently. Eric, I got to resend the map to you. I noticed that a couple things were deleted. There's like an artificer's table missing, and this was missing yesterday, so I'm going to resend it to you later. But anyway, we talked to this dwarven lady. She was quite distraught, immediately asked for a drink. First thing, asks for a drink. She wants whiskey. Funny thing is one of our players had actually gotten his like flask enchanted with, and it's a special whiskey from a previous quest giver and friend. named Carfax, or Carfax as we call him sometimes. Carfax is like a Taurus, like a big, huge bull dude, and he is massive. Anyway, he's given us quests a few times. Ghost Partner, we have an update in the works that'll likely be released sometime in 2027 called High Seas. And that will allow you to expand upon, building along shores, islands, and also building ships. And possibly things like airships or astral ships potentially are in the works as well. But that's quite a ways out. Our next update, Fun with Objects 2, should be releasing probably early fall, mid-fall. And it will add a few things that people have been wanting for a while, such as object rotation on any access, object mirroring, better tooltips telling you exactly what an object is and where it's located in the menu. So like you can click on an object now and know its name, but there's tons of bookcases. That's not really helpful, right? In the future, the object picker, it'll be an item here that looks like a dropper for picking color or whatever. But if you select it and click on an object, it tells you its name and opens it up right to the menu where it is. Bunch of new features are coming out that will improve the quality of life and overall performance and just ease of use of Dungeon Alchemist. Okay, so we're talking to this dwarven lady. She begged for whiskey, and she's distraught. Obviously, her friends and family are lost, dead, missing, whatever. Her town's been taken over by drow. She's asking us to help her, begging us to help her, and we're like trying to get more information, right? So I asked one of our guys to, using message, I asked him to go just kind of step aside for a minute and look for whiskey, because we do have some. But I wanted to ask her some questions, so I just was getting him to stall. Yeah, we'll get someone to look for whiskey. So I started asking her questions. What can you tell me about these drow? How many of them are there? Do you know why they're there? Where did you last see your friends? Stuff like that. So we took a bunch of notes. The group, I asked them if they had any questions, and they would ask questions too. So we got all this information. I asked her, can I deliberate with my partners for a minute, to make sure we're all on the same page? And our friend, basically this dwarf, I guess, was basically designed to trigger one of our friends in a good way, because he is just all about trying to RP to get a girlfriend in game. Basically, anytime there's a female person trying to give us a quest or talk to us, he's always trying to befriend them. It's just the way his character is. He's lonely. But anyway, he's like, guys, I think we should do this quest. Like, we really should. We should really help her. And we got some details from her. She's offering us like a bunch of gems called Arcan gems, 18,000 worth of gems, which I investigated them with my jeweler's tools, found out they are legit gems and they're actually worth more than she said. So that's good. So we opted to, we're going to do this mission, right? We talked about it as a group and decided, yes, we're going to pursue this. So she tells us where we need to go, what we need to do, and says there's also, if we clear out all the drow, finding where they're coming in from and clear them all out, there's also bonus rewards. So in our previous quest, we had gotten these items called dragon pearls. We weren't 100% certain about them, know very little. She told us that the dragon pearls, she knows what they are, and that their craftsmen can work with them and make very powerful magical items out of them. So that's one of the rewards. We'll also get those Arcan gems. We'll get access to all of these facilities to craft ourselves if we want to. And additionally, if we clear out the drow and find where they're coming from, we get a big amount of bonus rewards, including more magic items, access to their armories and treasuries. So, I don't know. Non-specific rewards always make me nervous, because it usually just means they don't have those, or they're just kind of saying it. But it's okay. I digress. We have a quest to follow and things to do. So we opted to do that, and while we were traveling, I said I was going to be, making a map of our travels and searching for herbs. I found these things called dream lilies. They're like some sort of drug that people use for pain management and to have trips, I guess. So that is a thing. And I stashed those away in our portable hold because I found out they are actually like taxed heavily and there's a black market for them. So I didn't want to be found with them. We get to the Dwarven settlement after 3 days of walking, and we have to climb down in. A couple of our people can fly, and a couple of us, I'm small already. Like I'm a halfling. My son's character, he's a changeling. Changelings can shift between medium and small. So he shifts to a small character. I'm already small. Our 2 flying characters carry us down. The other 2, they climb down with their climbing kits and set up a rope system. So we're down covering the ground for them while they work their way down. And I'm sitting there just in case they fall. I've got feather fall. So we get everyone down safely. Once we get down, it's essentially this big, huge chasm, open chasm with like a walkway on around the whole edge in like a U shape. And in the center is a drop that goes way further down. And there's like kind of like banisters along this chasm and huge chains hanging across it that the DM said were like 10-foot links. They're huge links. Around the U shape outside of this room and the walkways is a big, huge, tall dwarven statues that are like 50 feet tall. Something you'd see in like Lord of the Rings, right? They're all just proudly standing there in poses, wearing armor with their weapons, etc. Probably kings of old. They're covered in runes. So my character is immediately like, something's wrong. There's crystals all over the room. My son's like, hey, we should grab the crystals. I'm like, before you do that, can I investigate these runes a little bit? And I got a really good check. Come to find out that all of these runes are magical runes and all of these statues are enchanted with preservation enchantments that if you alter the statues or destroy them or steal from them, you'll get attacked. And there's various traps around, including alarms, disintegration rays, just all sorts of stuff. So I just told everyone, please just leave it alone. And the person who hired us asked us to not destroy their town, to keep it intact so they can move back in because they want to get it back, right? So we're not going to be stealing from the people who just became refugees and also put ourselves at risk. So anyway, we decided to leave the statues alone, but one of our players left a donation on one of them, a coin. And the DM's like, hey, your next roll, you'll have a +1 on. And we're all like, wait, what? So I dropped 20 coins of gold. He's like, your next roll, you'll have a +20 on. I was like, holy cow. Okay. We get to the gate. I realize the gate also may have traps and other stuff. So I do an investigation, use that +20. We find out the gate's already been like broken through. There might have been a lock on it, whatever. It's open. We can go through. I put 20 more coins on the thing, get another +20 to my next roll. We head into the next area. It's kind of like a check-in station where you, like if you were coming into a new city or country, where you would, a declaration center, you know, and you show your goods and your equipment and, you know, get a little paper saying who you are, show your papers and documents, ID, etc. So, but it's taken over by the drow. Customs, that's what it is. Customs, that's the word I was looking for. We see that there's a bunch of, there's a couple guys in the customs area and there's like a curved hallway. We decide at this point that we're going to try and be stealthy. I have a ring of invisibility, turn that on because I don't want to lose my check doing a stealth check, right? So, and the rest of the group decides if they want to do stealth checks or not, but the DM told us the people were looking away, focused on something else. So we tried to creep by. We creep by these windows. It's like, you know, like when you're at like a ticket counter, right? Or at a bank, the teller counter, like they have windows to look through and can see you if they're paying attention. But if you're like careful and get under the ledge, they don't see you. Or if you're quiet, they may not notice you're there, right? So we sneak by around the hallway. We get to a door. Yet again, paranoia. I investigate the door, find out that it does have a trap on it, an alarm, and also a magical lock. We do have people with Dispel Magic in the party, so we use Dispel Magic. That got rid of the alarm and the magical lock, okay? Silently, I might add. I turn invisible, I have everyone stand back, and I just crack the door, the littlest bit to look through, so it's like even if they see something, they don't see anything. I see in the room, just to get an idea of what's in there, there's a clay golem and another 2 drow. So behind us, we have a drow and a construct in the customs room behind the windows. And in front of us and through the door, we have a clay golem and 2 more drow. I remember one of our party members has silence. And I thought, well, we could use silence to our advantage to kind of maybe keep the fight quieter or localized or prevent casting. We don't know what these drow have. So essentially, we decide to cast as we prepare actions. Mrs. Mac casts silence in the room right in front of us. That's her idea or her plan. As soon as we open the door, silence, right? Anyway, this goes pretty well. We all have different attacks prepped and different things that we're going to be doing. Our fairy, who usually does like debuffs and buffs for the group, she's like, I'm going to use blindness on one of these dudes, something like that, right? And so like, cool. Basically, we go through and talk about what everyone wants to do. Everyone prepares their actions. We jump out, bunch of attacks, bunch of debuffs. Right off the bat, one of the drow got hit pretty hard, and he's going down to about a half health. That room's silenced, so those dudes can't scream, they can't cast spells. Very nice for us. Though the dudes behind us in the ticket room, they heard us casting, and then they came to investigate. So we got people behind us in the customs room trying to shoot through the windows at us. People in front of us trying to do stuff to us, but they're like confused, and we're trying to take them down. So it's like a kind of a combo wombo of a few events going on simultaneously. And we're kind of crammed in this little 10-foot hallway, all of us. So we start spreading out, a little group behind, a little group in front, kind of blocking, a group behind, pushing back and getting below the windows so we can hide, but then peek up over and shoot in. Because the ticket windows for customs, like as a halfling or a fairy, people could get under that and not be seen. It's like when a kid's behind a counter, you can't see them, right? Anyway, this goes on for a while. The fight probably went longer than it should have. But when all's said and done, it was a fun fight. We took out like 5 or 6 mobs, including the clay golem, a construct, and 3 drow. And the silence is still active, and I think silence actually helped us because I was scouting ahead with my awakened spellbook because I'm a scribe's wizard, and I was able to see that there was actually a guard around the corner, and he hadn't come to investigate. I can only assume there was a fight literally around the corner from him. Very funny part of this night, before we kind of hand wave all the deaths, our rogue ran ahead to investigate, our rogue fighter. And he's low end. And so he makes a lot of impulsive and dumb decisions. He ran into the room and didn't even realize he couldn't hear himself until he was in a fight with someone. Him and this drow are going toe to toe, back and forth. Drow has multi-attack. He has extra attack. They'll miss each other, exchange blows, but they cannot talk. And you could tell that they're trying to like shit talk each other essentially and hate on each other. But it's mostly just through like interpretive dance and fighting. Ghost Partner, if you're gonna upload unfinished maps, I would upload them in our Discord under community creations. I wouldn't do it on the workshop because it's really hard to coagulate people around an unfinished map to get help. There's a comments section below each map, but it's kind of hard to discuss and expand and learn. So I would recommend sharing your map in the Discord server and say, hey, this is something I'm working on. I would love if people could take a look at it and make suggestions. You could share images and the map file so anyone can open it up, right? I don't know why this deleted itself, but this is good enough for now. I'm just going to save it. Yes. Can someone get a link for Spicy really quick? So, let's see. We ended the fight. I have message, which I use it. I've been using it a lot. I feel like we're going to be using it a lot in this area because it's tight quarters, lots of guards, and we need to keep fights localized and quiet and quick and decisive, right? So we have several ways we could scout ahead. My Awakened Spellbook, which granted mobs can see it, but they can't attack it. And they don't really know where it came from, particularly. In fact, it was really fun spying on the fighter rogue fight with the drow because I could see it. No one else in the party could, and I didn't realize no one else could. I was watching the fight through my Awakened Spellbook, and I was just laughing. And then I sent our paladin up to help him. I was like, hey, he needs help. Will you go around the right corner and go assist him? And he went around this other side and got behind the bad guy and was in a flanking position. So our rogue could finally get some like sneak attacks damage and put him down really quick. It was pretty cool. So the fight, that was the only fight we had the whole session, and it lasted a little bit longer than it probably should have because of the way we decided to approach it. There was another door we could have ran into the like customs room, but we thought it might have had traps on it too, and we didn't want to risk it. So we opted to just kind of fight between the windows and doorway we were in and keep everything clean and quick in those areas. We realize now there's a guy ahead, a couple of doors, and another hallway potentially to investigate. We have a couple plans to how to approach that. My son, he sat down and looked at one of the drow bodies for like 5 minutes, and he's a changeling. He's going to be able to intimidate or impersonate that drow pretty well. We also threw all of their bodies in our portable hole and went through and cleaned up the room using prestidigitation. So there's no sign of a fight at the moment, at least. Which is interesting. So, and we still have silence blocking the hallway beyond us, so I'm assuming any guards or other people down there can't hear what we're doing. So essentially, we ended the session with pretty clean end to a fight. My son can sneak ahead and talk to them as a changeling drow, you know, and try and get their guard down or investigate. I could turn invisible and sneak ahead. I have no shadow now. I can turn invisible. And I have Boots of Elvenkind, so I'm heckin' silent and have advantage on stealth checks. So if it comes down to it, I could probably sneak ahead and get some intel as well. The only worry I have is maybe someone who can see invisibility. Anyway, it was a good session, Eric. Thank you very much, man. I had a lot of fun. The group appreciates you a lot, my man. We were talking about it after, and it was definitely a thrilling session. I think they loved the tour a lot too. Like, there was no love lost on the time that we spent exploring, you know, this and talking about the downtime, because we hardly ever get to do that. And it was kind of fun just to experience for once, you know? Eric yesterday made me laugh a couple of times. So I have advantage in low light or darkness on perception checks, right? And I was looking to see if there was a trap on this door. And he's like, there's actually there's torches in this room, so it's not low light or dim light anymore. And I'm like, I'm going to snuff them out with prestidigitation. He's like, you're going to just snuff out the lamps just to get advantage? I'm like, you better believe I will. What else happened that made me laugh? Oh, we were like diligently like interrogating this lady about this quest. We did insight checks on her. We were stalling her for time to learn more about it. I investigated the gems, the Arcan gems, found out they're worth way more than she says they're worth. Honestly, I do think we're a little over the top sometimes, but it just makes me laugh how you'll be like, yeah, you guys definitely know how to get the intel now and how to follow the thread. And what was it? You said something like that yesterday, because we like literally were asking all the right questions to prepare for this mission. Like, we knew we're going to need climbing kits and rope. We bought a ton of it. I snagged some rations, though I do have access to Goodberry, so I'm not too stressed. Yeah, honestly, it makes me laugh because you have all these other groups you run sessions for, and I've seen them play. Many of them are more like, well, a couple of them at least are ready, shoot, aim types, and it's hilarious to watch. And I'm sure it's different, like a different pacing when we're constantly like asking questions and planning instead of just running into it. So yesterday, y'all, I was given a tour of the Bastion, right? Showing everyone all the new rooms. And so I was like, here we have our scriptorium, which is where we can make, you know, spell scrolls, either cleric or wizard spell scrolls, level 3 or lower. But there's more. There's actually a secret room behind this room where we have our laboratory where we can make potions and poisons and alchemist-based supplies and gear. So here we have a little secret lab. In Dexter's Laboratory. Hey, yeah, thanks for making me feel bad. We're the odd man out. Honestly, Eric, I'm going to talk to the group. Maybe it's time to start streaming it. Though it probably would have been time yesterday, the session, because it's the first part of a new arc. Anyway. I do have a question I want to talk to you about after the stream, related to our group and stuff. Nothing bad. In fact, it's all good. So no worries there. Cool. But yeah, everyone, the stream's now run extra long, almost 45 minutes long, because I was talking Bastion, talking my D&D session. Chim, I hope you got everything you were wanting out of that description, because I don't know if I feel like I got all of it, but it might have been kind of discombobulated a little bit. So my apologies for not telling the story sooner. Oh man, I need to fix that roofing. That is unacceptable in my home. You want to know how to fix the ceiling? We'll show you that, guys and gals, before I end the stream, okay? It's not very easy to fix ceilings. Ceilings are kind of an afterthought for DA because usually you don't see from this view. You see from the top down, right? And so we don't really have a ceiling tool that you can just change ceilings. You can change roofing, but roofing doesn't change the ceiling. So how do you change a ceiling? Let me show you. First and foremost, you want to go to the room where the ceiling is a problem and you want to change it. Find that room, okay? Next, you go to the Edit Room tool, which is in the top left. You go to Draw Room and then Edit Room, this tab up in the top, right? So go to the Draw Room tab section in the left menu and then the top right tab, Edit Room, okay? Next, under Settings, you're going to want to uncheck all of these, because if your room's already decorated and all of these are checked, it'll delete all this stuff and regenerate the room with new walls, windows, floors. I don't want to redecorate it. I want to keep my items and my lighting and my walls and floors and windows and doors. All I'm changing is the roof or the ceiling. And the only way to change the ceiling is to change the type of room. Okay. So if you select the room, notice how it says Castle Armory. If I click over here, it says Mansion Wine Cellar. So I generated this room as a wine cellar type. If I change the room type, but leave all of these unchecked, okay, that's important. So I'm going to keep it in Mansion, something fancy. Let's go to Bedroom Master, right? And I'm going to just click Refresh Room. Nothing appears to have visually changed, right? But, excuse me. If you place the token back, look at the ceiling now. Super fancy. Depending on the room type, ceilings are intrinsically tied to room types. So, edit, draw room tab, edit room, or draw room tool, edit room tab, select the room by clicking on it. It'll tell you the room type, make sure everything's unchecked under settings, and then just change the room type. When you change the room type, it'll likely change to a different ceiling. And every time you refresh, it cycles between them. Unfortunately, you have to get back into a token to see. And that one's exactly the same, so probably not ideal. Let's try a different Oops. We're going to do something out of mansion. I'm going to do village, and then we're going to do... Let's do the butcher's shop, because I think the wooden ceilings in that are pretty good. I'm going to refresh it a couple of times. Yes. See, that's what I was looking for. Something like that. Doesn't that look nice? So, the thing about Dungeon Alchemist, Spicy, is you're intended to export from a top down. You hardly ever see ceilings in Dungeon Alchemist, right? So you export your map in a top down, which is ideal for playing games like Dungeons and Dragons, right? But to that end, you can change the roofs really easily on command. We have dozens of different roof types, and I will say from experience that I think our roofing is a little bit better than Sims, because it generates the shapes of the roofing around the shape of the structure instead of you having to place roofing objects by hand. You could still do that in Dungeon Alchemist, but we give you both options. You have, 30, 40 angled roof types with different types of, slate, ceramic, wood, metal, different types of shingling, and then you also have flat roofing. Again, mix and match. And because of our room tool that allows you to remove shapes, cut out circular options. So like here, I actually made a custom roof that is a circular room up at the top with like greenhouse walls and a cupola on top. That's an object that you can just place on top. Doing this made a very cool like skylight here for this room. It's a sacristy is what it's called. And this was my wife's room for her character, and her character is a Twilight cleric, so she wanted the room to focus moonlight, for her to focus moonlight into holy water and other things. So that was kind of the idea behind this. So as you can see, it's really interesting. I've actually made another custom roof over here similarly for the greenhouse to allow more light in during the day. So you don't necessarily have to do a traditional old square roof. You can make cuts out of it and make different rooms on top. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. Heck, you can have no roof if you want. You could just delete the roof entirely and have it open air. Anyway, Spicy, it was nice to meet you. Everyone else, thank you for being here. All the new faces, all the existing, supporting members of our community who return time after time. Thank you for your continued support. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Thank you for, loving Dungeon Alchemist and using it in your campaign, sharing it with your community, your friends, family. We appreciate you all so very, very much. Our next stream is this Saturday. It's the Dungeon Alchemist map making show. That'll be at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UTC, runs about 2.5 hours. And then, we'll be back Saturday or Monday next week. So thanks again for tuning in. Again, my name is Mac, the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. We're going to run a quick Dungeon Alchemist themed ad. It's actually quite funny and very relatable. I hope you stick around and check it out. And after the ad, the stream is going to wrap up, okay? Glenn, you'd like to see a screen mode? A second screen mode? That's an interesting suggestion. And many people before you have suggested it. I do think eventually we'll probably have a companion standalone Dungeon Alchemist virtual tabletop, which will allow for that kind of thing. But we'll see. The future, it's kind of far away to tell at this point. Anyway, thank you everyone for tuning in. Again, my name is Mac, the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. We'll see you next time I give a damn. Mac out. Bye.
You stand before the long, dark road to the fabled realm of Doyak Ta, and before
What do we see?
I don't know, a goblin.
I kill him.
But before she does, I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to know the goblin's name.
Hi, my name is Woblin.
Where do you live there, Woblin?
I don't think that's relevant.
Well, but I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to seek the goblin's abode.
Clever, find family, kill entire bloodline. I like it.
Seriously, we're doing this? Okay, well, won't be needing that anymore, will I?
Ever get caught by your players with your pants down? Dungeon Alchemist lets you create wonderful maps for any encounter in seconds.
Oh, Woblin, that's a very impressive cheese collection you've got there.
Yeah, it is quite impressive, yes. But you know what's more impressive? This map I have to the fabled
Realm of Goyak Tar, please take it and leave. Close the door behind you.
Mr. Woblin, I cannot help but notice that you have a secret tunnel underneath your cabinet. Care to explain?
Download Dungeon Alchemist, the AI-powered Mapmaker, on Steam today.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you on Saturday. Hope you have an amazing week. Mac out. Bye.